In 1966, a Las Vegas hotel told one of its long-term guests it was time to leave. He didn't check out. He bought the hotel. And that was only the beginning. Over the next 2 years, he bought more casinos, an airport, an airline, and thousands of acres of land around Las Vegas, all while barely leaving his hotel room. His name was Howard Hughes, a Hollywood producer, a record-breaking aviator, and one of the wealthiest men in the world. From the outside, it looked like Hughes was buying Las Vegas itself, but inside the casinos he owned, something strange was happening. Money was disappearing. Hughes wasn't gambling it away. He wasn't playing blackjack or pulling slot machines. He owned the casinos. So how does the owner of the house lose tens of millions of dollars inside his own casino empire? To understand that, you have to understand what Las Vegas was before Howard Hughes arrived. Las Vegas wasn't built on glossy tourism brochures. It was built on cash, and on people who knew how to move that cash without leaving much of a trail. In the 1940s, Bugsy Siegel convinced investors from the East Coast to finance the Flamingo, one of the first luxury casino resorts on what would become the Las Vegas Strip. The idea was simple. Build something glamorous enough to attract people who would never walk into a back alley card game. Siegel was murdered the following year, but the model survived. The desert was cheap, the laws were loose, and the cash was hard to trace. Through the 1950s and into the 1960s, organized crime figures helped finance and operate many of the city's major casinos. Their names didn't always appear on the ownership papers. They didn't have to. What mattered was who controlled the cash. The system became known as the Skim. Back then, casinos ran overwhelmingly on cash. Every night, huge amounts of money moved across gaming tables and through slot machines. Before all of that money reached the official count room, some of it could be pulled aside, skimmed off the top, packed into suitcases, moved through airports, and delivered to people whose names appeared on no casino license. The FBI knew what was happening. The IRS knew. Nevada regulators knew. And yet the money kept moving. Las Vegas kept growing too, carrying a reputation it couldn't quite escape. A mob town dressed in neon. By the mid-1960s, Nevada needed a different story. It needed a name the rest of the country would trust, and a face that looked nothing like the old syndicate. Then, on Thanksgiving Day in 1966, a private train rolled into North Las Vegas. Howard Hughes did not walk off it. He was carried out on a stretcher, placed into a van, and taken to the Desert Inn on the Strip. Hughes and his entourage took over the hotel's top 2 floors, and Hughes essentially vanished. He didn't visit the casino or walk through the lobby. Most of his instructions went out through written memos. The man who had once been one of America's most visible celebrities was now hiding in a hotel room in the middle of Las Vegas. He was only supposed to stay for a short time, but he didn't leave, and that became a problem. The Desert Inn needed those premium suites for high rollers coming in during the holidays. Hughes and his aides weren't gambling, they weren't drinking, and they weren't spending much money downstairs. Eventually, the hotel told him it was time to go. Hughes had another idea. He would buy the hotel. In 1967, Hughes acquired the Desert Inn for $6.2 million in cash and another $7 million in loans. The hotel had tried to remove its guest. Instead, the guest became the owner. If the story had ended there, it would have been a great billionaire revenge story. It didn't. So, after buying the Desert Inn, Hughes saw just how much money a casino could generate, and he reportedly asked his chief aide a simple question: how many more of these toys are available? Then the buying began. The Frontier, the Sands, Castaways, Landmark, Silver Slipper. Eventually, Hughes controlled 6 casinos, along with North Las Vegas Airport, Alamo Airways, and thousands of acres of undeveloped land. In a single year, he spent more than $65 million. In 1960s money, that's more than $178,000 a day. And Hughes wasn't traveling around Las Vegas inspecting his new empire. The paperwork came upstairs and he signed it. Somewhere outside his hotel room, another piece of Las Vegas changed hands. people couldn't see Howard Hughes. They could see his money everywhere. In 1968, Hughes tried to buy the Stardust. By then, he controlled roughly 1/3 of the revenue generated by casinos on the Strip. That was enough to get Washington's attention. The Justice Department moved to stop his expansion on antitrust grounds. The man who had nearly been thrown out of one hotel had become so powerful that the federal government was trying to stop him from buying another. But there was something else strange about Hughes's rise. Getting a Nevada gaming license was supposed to involve serious scrutiny. Hughes refused to appear in person, declined a financial background check, and refused to be photographed or fingerprinted. And yet Nevada approved him anyway. Governor Paul Laxalt personally pushed regulators to make it happen. Why? Because Howard Hughes needed Las Vegas. But Las Vegas needed Howard Hughes too. Remember the Skim, the suitcases, and the city's reputation. Nevada didn't just want Hughes's money, it wanted his name. Here was a nationally famous billionaire, an aviation hero, and a businessman whose public image had nothing to do with the old Las Vegas underworld. Politicians could point to Hughes and say the city was changing. Hughes himself said he wanted to make Las Vegas as trustworthy and respectable as the New York Stock Exchange. Suddenly, Nevada had a very different face to show the country. But there was one problem Hughes hadn't solved. He didn't know how to run casinos, and neither did many of the people around him. So when his organization bought these properties, it kept many of the existing employees and middle managers in place. Some of those men had connections to the old syndicate. The owner changed, the signs changed, but many of the people handling the cash did not, and neither did the Skim. Only now, there was a new victim, Howard Hughes. At first, the numbers just looked wrong. The casinos had customers, the tables were busy and cash was coming in. But Hughes wasn't seeing the profits he expected. His organization cut costs, pressured managers, and ordered audits. They brought in new accountants and compared revenue against room occupancy, foot traffic, and the number of chips being sold. The numbers still didn't make sense. The gap between what the casinos appeared to be earning and what actually reached Hughes kept getting wider. Night after night, cash continued moving through the same old channels. The new owner's name was on the building. The old system was still inside it. Then, in the summer of 1970, Hughes finally learned how bad it was. In less than 4 years, an estimated $50 million had been skimmed from his casino profits. $50 million. And in just the first 6 months of 1970, Hughes's operations lost another $6.8 million. It had all started with one hotel trying to throw him out. Now Hughes owned 6 casinos, and money was disappearing inside them. But while Hughes was losing millions inside his own properties, something very different was happening outside his hotel room. Las Vegas was changing. Nevada had begun opening the door wider for publicly traded corporations to own casinos. Hughes had shown that a nationally known businessman could build a major casino empire there, and his name helped give the industry a different image. Soon, mainstream hotel companies and corporate money began moving in. The door Hughes helped open didn't close behind him. It got wider, and that's where the story stops looking like a simple victory or defeat. Hughes was losing millions inside the casinos he owned, while outside those casinos, Las Vegas was beginning to shed part of its old mob image and move toward a more corporate future. Howard Hughes had become part of that transition, whether he fully understood it or not. Then came Thanksgiving Day, 1970. Exactly 4 years after arriving in Las Vegas, Hughes left. His buying spree had been stopped, millions had disappeared from his casino profits, and Hughes himself was deteriorating fast. His aides secretly removed him from the Desert Inn. Just as when he arrived, he left on a stretcher. His plane departed for the Bahamas. Howard Hughes never returned to Las Vegas. 4 years earlier, he had been a hotel guest, being told to leave. 4 years later, he had become Nevada's largest casino owner and largest private employer. And Las Vegas had changed with him. Hughes helped push the city away from its old mob-dominated image and toward the corporate era that followed. But along the way, parts of the very system he was supposed to replace had taken tens of millions of dollars from his own casinos. And here's the strange part. Today, major Las Vegas casino companies trade on public markets. You can own a piece of the casino business without a suitcase of cash, without a gaming license, without ever setting foot in Nevada. The owners changed. The game changed with them. So what actually happened? Did Howard Hughes really buy the whole game? Or did Las Vegas use him, his money, his name, and his reputation to make room for the next owners? Still echoing,